Wait. Full start. Welcome, everybody, to Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor. We are so happy to have you here, those on Zoom land and all of you here. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. I'd like to introduce you to Rabbi Aviva Bass. She's been a rabbi for 25 years from the Reconstructionist movement. She graduated. She has been a rabbi in New Zealand and Australia. So any interest, speak to her about that afterward during the Oneg. We are really delighted to have her here, to have her officiating tonight with us, Shabbat services. And we just found out that we both have twins. I have twins and so does she. Hers are younger than mine and they're boys. I have girls, but anyway, welcome, Rabbi Aviva. We're so very glad to have you here.
Thank you so much, Cantor Carol. And of course, I want to recognize Ruth. Where did Ruth go? There. Ruth, yes, who will be playing a little bit later this evening. So I'm so glad to have her with us as well. Can you, okay. Better? Okay, so I just wanted to thank Ruth as well, to acknowledge her because she will be playing a little bit later during our service. So thank you so much for your warm welcome. I met some of you before, but after the service, I hope to stick around and meet many more of you and to get to know you a little bit better. So let's begin with a welcoming song. The song Shalom Aleichem is a song that's welcoming angels. But the word for angel in Hebrew is malach. Malach is the Hebrew word for angel. It is also the word for messenger. And so we can all be malachei elyon, messengers of the Most High. And so an angel doesn't have to be something that's unseen with wings. An angel can come through each of us. So let's take a moment before we begin our service with the Shalom Aleichem, just to greet one another. If you don't know the people around you, introduce yourself. If you do, just wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
They come wandering in.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is actually one of our board members, though, coming in.
Oh, good. That's important. So good. So let's take a moment to sing to one another and to all of the angels, seen and unseen in our world, as we sing the Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashari, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I wanted to make sure we said thank you to Madison, who is up here running our social media and our technology, and also Sharon Leibovich, who runs everything, as you know. And the board, I see many of you here. Thank you so much for all that you do, and we will continue.
So at this time, I'd like to call up Emily Jacobs Robards. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yes, Robards, who will be lighting the Shabbat candles for us.
Adonai, grant me and all my loved ones a chance truly to rest on this Shabbat. May the light of the candles drive out from among us the spirit of anger, the spirit of harm. Send blessings to my children that they may walk in the ways of your Torah, your light.
Amen.
Oh, great.
You blew it out.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
You're right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lahadlik hanir shel Shabbat.
Amen.
I just want you all to wish for peace and harmony and a good, uneventful 4th of July. So, Shabbat
Yes,
Shalom.
God willing.
Shabbat
Yes,
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And now I'd like to invite up our Kiddush honoree, Roberta Cooper, to do the Kiddush for us.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
The commandment to bless this wine is a commandment to drink life as deeply as we drink from this cup. It is a commandment to bless life and to love deeply. It is a commandment to remember with Shabbat heart, to act with Shabbat hands, to see the world with Shabbat eyes. It is a commandment to laugh until we are all laughter, to sing until we are all song, to dance until we are all dance, to love until we are all love. This is the wine that God has commanded us to bless and drink. Please join me in the prayer over the wine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Amen.
We always ask if they want to say something.
Empty.
They don't.
Okay.
The wine filler didn't give me any. I'll get some
Okay.
later during the oneg.
Roberta, do you have anything that you would like to share with the community at this
How
time?
did you know?
A little birdie told me.
I have 3 sons, as you may know. I always talk about it. One of them, the youngest, is in Israel, and he's in Jerusalem at the time, this moment, and he's very happy because he can celebrate Shabbat at the wall, Friday night, Saturday morning. Very interesting. I have 3 sons, all raised as Reformed Jews, and I taught Sunday school for almost 30 years. 2 of them intermarried. This one became Orthodox. I believed in strong, independent men, and they listened to me. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
You know, in my home, we actually have a custom that every Friday night around the Shabbat dinner table, we share something that's new and good in our lives from the past week. I'm not going to ask you all to share with all of us, but now that we have broken the moment, we're not going from one prayer to the next. We're going to sing Sweet Sabbath Wine in a minute, but let's have some sweetness to bring into that moment. So I want to invite you to take another moment, turn to the person next to you you may have come with or you may not have come with, and say something. Have each of you just say one sentence, one thing that you think is new and good from this past week. So let's just take a moment to do that.
I appreciated my grandson's bar mitzvah.
Oh, yes. How was it? I'm so sorry you didn't ask. Amazing. I forgot. You did mention it, but I just...
Amazing.
That's wonderful.
Wonderful. I was there.
That's great. That's great. And I'm just happy to be here. This is new and good to be here. So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. So if you've not traded places, the second person should share now. So each of you gets a chance to share one thing that was good this week. Okay. So with all of those good things, our cup overfloweth, right? Our cup overfloweth with all of these good things. We're going to sing Sweet Sabbath Wine.
When life began, sometime before our knowing, it's growing strong inside of me. destiny. Warm, glowing bright, Sabbath flames, spreading light on Friday night. Sweet Sabbath wine, bum, 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 makes the good times seem so good, so good, so good, so good. I'm inclined as a Jew to spread peace and brotherhood. On Friday night, we are no longer lonely. If only I share my love with you. And when we hurt, we'll bring each other comfort and rejoice in living as a Jew. One, our God is one, so I'm reaching out as the God in me touches you. Sweet Sabbath wine, ba, 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 makes the simcha seem so good.
So good, so good, so good.
I'm inclined as a Jew to spread peace and brotherhood. Sweet Sabbath wine, bum, 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 makes the simcha seem so good. I'm inclined as a Jew to spread peace and brotherhood. Sweet Sabbath wine.
Wonderful. I see that we have some Red Sox fans in the congregation. That's great. So I don't know if you're aware, but the Kabbalat Shabbat service, the Friday evening service welcoming Shabbat, God bless you, is actually pretty new on the scene. In terms of the scope of 3,000 years or plus of Jewish history, it began in the 16th century by the Kabbalists, the Jewish mystics in Sfat. How many of you have been to Sfat in Israel? Yeah, it's a pretty mystical place. It really still, I think, holds that resonance of all of those years ago, that mystical feeling there. And what the rabbis used to do was they would run out into the fields and greet Shabbat as the sun was coming down, just as the sun was descending. We had Friday evening Ma'ariv, the evening service, but we didn't have a Kabbalat Shabbat. Kabbalah, which we usually translate as Jewish mysticism, and Kabbalat, for Kabbalat Shabbat, they're the same word. The word kabbalel, likabel, is to receive. So the receiving of Shabbat, with a special part of this service that we're about to enter, was a relatively late addition by the 16th century Kabbalists. Of course, by our standards here in America, that sounds like a very long time ago. But as Jews, we know our history goes way, way back. One of the institutions of Kabbalat Shabbat that I think is the apex of the service of Kabbalat Shabbat is Lecha Dodi. And if you were to take the words of Lecha Dodi and you were to look at them, we don't have the whole thing written out, but if you look at them in the Hebrew, they have a secret. And the secret is, it's not so big a secret, that the name of the author of this poem, Lecha Dodi, is actually embedded in the first letter of each of the stanzas. And that's Shlomo Halevi. So Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz is the author of the song that we now know as Lecha Dodi. Not the melody. The melodies, we have many, many different melodies for it. But the words, they're a poem, and his name is right there, the first letter of each of the stanzas. So with that in mind, we're going to start with a responsive reading before we sing Lecha Dodi. And that's up there. Just a moment. There we go. Sorry about that. Entrances to holiness are everywhere,
The possibility of ascent is all the time.
even at unlikely times and through unlikely places.
There is no place on earth without the presence.
And now with that in mind, we sing Lecha Dodi.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. La la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Shmur v'dekor b'dibur echad, Yishmeh Adonai echad, Adonai echad, v'shemo echad, V'shem v'tera v'glit la 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 la, Lecha lodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nisucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Hituriri, turiri, kibe oraku miuri, uri uri, shibdirari, kavod Hashem alik nikla likala, lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala.
We face the back and welcome, metaphorically or maybe even literally, the Shabbat bride or queen into our midst. Bo'i v'shalom, ateret bala, gam simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, bo'i kala, bo'i kala.
Turn around and sit down.
B'nei b'nei Shabbat likabala.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, b'nei b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nikabela.
We remain standing as we enter the call to worship, the Baruch.
Join, please. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please take a seat. The Shema is bracketed on either side by expressions of love. There is the expression of love, the Ahavat Olam, which we're going to do in a moment, not yet. And then afterwards, there is the expression of love that we are to love God with Ve'ahavta. Before we get to that, this whole section of our service is called Shema and its blessings. So we just did the Baruch. After the Baruch, we have a universalist blessing, and this is about God as creator. So I know that Rabbi Barry, Zichrono Livracha, may his memory be for a blessing, that he taught all about his idea of cosmic Judaism. Well, there's no more cosmic a prayer than the Ma'ariv Aravim, which is about God rolling the light before the darkness and the heavens opening and all of the wonderful things that we can see with these fantastic telescopes now. Those show us those wonders of the cosmology. So it is that we are praising God for at this point, the Ma'ariv Aravim. Nope, that's nice.
Yes, you're right. Holy One of blessing, your presence fills creation. Your word brings on the night. You make the days pass by. The seasons go in circles. You separate the darkness from the light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'varo ma'ariv aravim ma'ariv aravim El Chai v'kayam tamid yifloch aleinu leolam va'ed. May the one who fills the universe keep us safe forever until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'varo ma'ariv aravim ma'ariv aravim.
And now we turn from the universalist, God as creator, to our relationship with the divine as shown through the giving of the Torah. So we read this responsive reading for the Ahavat Olam. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts.
Therefore, Adonai, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments.
We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days.
Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel.
We rise now for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vahed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We sit as we continue with Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. The word emet, with which we end that section of prayer, the word emet means truth. And listening to the debates last night, I think there is no more truth than is needed right now. We need truth, and we need fewer people who believe that they have the only truth. I have never seen our country polarize so much. I thought in 2000, when we had those hanging chads, that was bad. And this makes that look like we were all getting together and having tea with one another. So this next prayer is a prayer for love among us and understanding. I think there's so much conflict in our country and in our world right now that if we can just stop for a moment, stop the words, stop the chatter, stop the talking heads, and look at the human being in front of you. And even if you don't agree with that human being, we each have the spark of the divine within us. And my prayer is that every time that we speak, as much as we can, that every time we speak, we open our mouths to speak, we remember. And in a sense, it's really a prayer, because the person that we're speaking to has divine within them, has divinity within them. So if we can see and remember that and hold our tongues until we can really feel that love, I think our world would be a better place. So this is the Hashkivenu.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. May peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Vehamidenu, Shomrenu L'chaim. Uvrosalenu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Hashkivenu,
shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. So we come now to the tefillah or amidah. This is the apex of our prayer service. This is the time when each of us has the opportunity to have our own private thoughts, our own personal feelings of whatever divinity means to you, or whatever you feel is the highest part of yourself that you're reaching. So let's take a few moments. We're going to start it together, and we'll have some time for silent prayer and meditation. I'm going to invite you to either stand in body or in spirit. You can just rise a little higher in your chair and have the consciousness of how we are in the time of tefillah. So rise in body or in spirit now, please, for the tefillah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, U'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, L'man shemo be'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Ve'etzrat Sarah, Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah v'rav le'hoshia, Mechachel chayim v'chesed, Mechayeh hakol b'rachabim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memid umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neheman atah lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, V'gedoshim b'chol yom, Yehalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Amen.
You may be seated as we continue now with the responsive reading section of our tefillah. We reach for you, Adonai, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain.
Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves.
For a moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat.
Find the stillness of the sanctuary which the soul cherished. Renew the covenant of an ancient people.
We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands.
The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith.
Quiet places and stillness where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness from which we will reach out to each other.
We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we we will turn again to your service.
This next prayer is a prayer that it is God's will that we speak to one another with that kind of kavanah, with that intention, and that God, the God in us, hears that prayer. Yiyu l'ratzon.
Yiyu l'ratzon imrefi ve'yon libi. Yiyu l'ratzon imrefi ve'yon libi levanecha. Adonai, Zuri, Zuri, Adonai, Zuri, Goali, Adonai, Zuri, Zuri, Adonai, Zuri, Goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see. May the words what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true, be true. May they be acceptable to you. Oh, my rock, oh, my rock, my rock, my rock, and my
Please take a few moments for silent prayer and meditation. Please look up when you are finished. We wish for healing of body, of mind, and of spirit. In particular, we think of those who are in need of healing this week. Bert Aronoff, Michelle Bernstein, Rita Elias, Hilda Epstein, Michelle Erich, Wendy Frank, Laura Gallagher, Margie Goldman Spaderna, Nadine Herbst, Shelley Horowitz, Iris Jacob, Elizabeth Cobran, Emma Cobran, Celia Cohn, Samantha Cohn Bartleman, David Kotliar, Linda Kupperman, Priscilla Lowenthal, Sylvia Marshall, Penny Martin, Lori Messenger, Melissa Swanson Musel, Dr. Sudhir Nair, Alfred Paritsky, Rachel Para, Laura Perlman Devens, Lori Pomerantz, Vivian Pronin, Herbert Raphael, Michael Robbins, Linda Rock, Camille Rosaro, Bernie Rosen, Dr. Stephen Sobo, Laura Santa Cruz, Miriam Sivak, Jacob Viner, Naomi Volin, Mark Wheatley, and Charles Wood. And we also pray for the people of Israel, Gaza, Ukraine, and throughout the world. And these names that you now utter of those you are thinking of whom I have not named, who are in need of healing. Go ahead. I'd like to invite those of you who are joining us via Zoom to please say the names of your loved ones you are thinking of now who are in need of healing, or yourself, your own names, if you are in need of healing. Sora, Susan Bass. Okay.
מקור הברכה לאימותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebera imotenu mekur habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say
We've now come to the Torah service part of our service, and this week we are introducing a second Torah scroll that has been kindly donated to the congregation by Cantor Carol. So we have 2 Torah scrolls we are going to be processing, and to do so I'd like to call up Bill and Donna Field to please come up and each take a Torah scroll, and Ruth, who is going to be playing our processional songs. Yes?
Key Mitzion first, you ready? When you're ready, see. Ki mitzion zet Torah, v'jirai ki mitzion zet Torah, u'devar Adonai merushalayim, baruch shenatan Torah, baruch shenatan Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lechol Adonai Ameguga Avedura Avivderet V'hanetzach V'hakol, Ki ho b'shamayim uvaret, Ki ho b'shamayim uvaret, Lechol Adonai Hamacha Amin Na'aseh Lechol Rosh. Eretz v'kala Chalav udvash, eretz avakalav. Chalav udvash, eretz avakalav. Chalav udvash, eretz avakalav. Chalav udvash, eretz avakalav. Savakalav udvash, eretz avakalav. Chalav chalav udvash, eretz avakalav. Chalav chalav udvash. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav etzivanu le'asot b'divrei Torah le'asot b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongue.
Okay, and now that the Torah scroll is down, we can be seated as well. I'm going to be reading from this Sephardic style scroll, simply because I very rarely get to do that, and I love this. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful little scroll here. So I'm going to read from the parsha, which is Sh'lach Lecha, which is send forth. And we'll find out a little bit about what this Torah portion is about in a little bit. But together we're going to say the blessings before and after the reading, because you're all called for the aliyah from your seats. Okay, so everyone, Ya'amdu, Kol HaKehillah La'aliyah. Please sit a little higher in your seats. All of those who are in this Kehillah for this aliyah. And we sing, Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMvorach, Baruch Adonai HaMvorach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai HaVa'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Shalach lecha anashim vayaturu et eretz Canaan asher ani noten livnei Yisrael. Ish echad lemate avotenu Tashirchenu kol, thank you, kol pi Adonai kulam anashim roshei b'nei Yisrael hema. And God called to Moses, saying, take yourself, send out scouts or spies, and they shall peruse the land of Canaan, the promised land, which I am giving to the children of Israel. Each man from a tribe will go out, those who are the princes, the chieftains of their tribes, and they will go out, Moshe, into the wilderness of Paran, until, as according to the mouth of God, meaning according to God's commandments, all of the men of renown, all of Bnei Yisrael will be actually represented. Hema. Together we say the closing blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Misha Beirach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May the Holy One who blessed all our ancestors bless all of you in Congregation L'Dor Va-Dor who have come up today in honor of God, in honor of Torah, in honor of Shabbat, and in honor of your commitment to your sacred community. May you all merit to see many, many more simchas in your lives. May you have joy, peace, love, and success in your homes and the homes of your children and your children's children. L'Dor Va-Dor, all to the next generation and the generation after that and generation after that. May this congregation also live up to its name, L'Dor Va-Dor, as it continues for many, many years to come, and in joy and in simcha and in love. And let us all say, Amen. Okay, so do we close the ark, so to speak? Do we do a closing? I will close the ark, so to speak, by putting the talit back on. Meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol nativoteha shalom. In my work as a rabbi, I am honored and blessed by being able to be with people at important times in their lives. And some of those are simchas, joyful occasions like the birth of a baby naming, a bris, or a bar mitzvah, a wedding. But some of them are marking other occasions that are sad and that are difficult for families. Sometimes I meet with people who are in the midst of recovery from an illness or from a disease that they're coping with, that they're not necessarily recovering from, but they need healing. So I meet with people in these times, and there was one day that I recall very clearly because it really stood out to me recently. When I visited two patients, one of whom was in the hospital, and he was recovering from a fractured bone that was relatively minor, but would require some physical therapy. And another, a woman whom I visited in her home, who had received, unfortunately, a very serious diagnosis of a debilitating disease. And so she was at home with some nursing care from a nurse to care for her. What was remarkable about this day was that the person that I saw in the hospital with a broken bone was complaining to me about being required to have some physical therapy before being able to return to regular activity. And he viewed this as an insurmountable challenge. Yet the one at home who had nursing care and had a debilitating disease from which she didn't know if she would recover, she told me that she felt blessed by her life and that this disease was just one more obstacle to be overcome. I was struck by this dichotomy of these two approaches to a setback in life. So what determines how a person reacts or responds to adversity? Our Torah portion, Sh'lach Lecha, contains the story of the 12 spies or scouts that I just read, who were sent out by Moses to examine the Holy Land to prepare for the Israelites' habitation. He asks them, are the people who dwell in it strong or weak, few or many? Is the country in which they dwell good or bad? Are the towns they live in open or fortified? Is the soil there rich or poor? Is it wooded or not? The 12 scouts, each representing one of the 12 tribes of the Israelites, survey the land and return 40 days later, bearing huge fruit which they carry on a frame between two of them. And maybe you can recall or think in your mind of the logo of the Ministry of Tourism of Israel. They have, it's been updated, but it is another version of two people carrying this beautiful big fruit between them. So they come back, and 10 of them return with a negative report that there are giants in the land and that it is unconquerable. And it is this negative report that becomes the catalyst for the entire community's divine punishment of wandering in the desert, because they are so taken with this negativity that it spreads negativity through the camp. Only 2 spies of the 12 return with a positive report, a positive perspective, with the faith that God will be with them and that they will enter the Holy Land promised to our ancestors. As a reward for their faith, Caleb and Joshua are the only members of their generation who merited to live to enter the promised land. They were the 2 spies or scouts who were sent out who came back with a positive report, Caleb and Joshua. So what exactly is the sin of the majority of the spies who spoke about their negative perspective? Weren't they just calling it as they saw it? And what made Caleb and Joshua so special? Why did they maintain their positive perspective? There's an interesting story in Midrash Tanhuma identifying the sin of the 10 spies who brought the negative report. In the Torah text, the 10 spies give the following description of the huge size of the current inhabitants of the land that they would have to conquer. They say, they were huge and giants in the land, and in our own eyes, we were like grasshoppers, in other words, tiny by comparison, and so we were in their eyes, meaning the eyes of the Anakites, the current inhabitants of the land of Canaan. The Midrash imagines that the Holy One forgave them for saying that they were grasshoppers in their own eyes. Yet, this story envisions the Holy One saying, "Who would say that you were not like angels in their eyes? Do you know what I made you in their eyes?" From this Midrash, this rabbinic story, we learn a valuable lesson. We can never know how we appear to others. We may doubt our own ability or value, but for another person, we may be ourselves like angels. So what made Caleb and Joshua so special? How were they able to maintain their positive outlook? In her book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck describes her perspective based on an experiment she performed with 10-year-old children. She gave all the children puzzles to solve, increasingly difficult puzzles. Some of the children gave up when they were unable to complete the task. They just stopped, even trying. Yet others seemed to enjoy the challenge and responded with even more gusto as the puzzles became increasingly difficult. What Dweck deduced from this experiment is that there are 2 perspectives at work with people when they're facing obstacles. The first she describes as a fixed mindset. This is the mindset that looks at a failure as a dead end. Either one succeeds at a task or one fails. People with a fixed mindset are more likely to be risk averse because of their fear of failure. Yet a person with a growth mindset sees every failure as a learning opportunity. A person with a fixed mindset will say to himself, "I can't," while another person with a growth mindset says to herself, "I can't do it yet, but I will keep trying." According to Dweck, parents can make a great deal of difference to their children in this regard. Those who praise their children only for their achievements tend to raise children with a fixed mindset, who feel that they need to reach a certain level or else they will be considered failures. Whereas parents who praise their children for how much effort they put into a task tend to raise children with more of a growth mindset. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs discusses this in his article, What Made Joshua and Caleb Different? He posits that the 10 spies here were people, he says, with reputations to guard. Others had high expectations of them. They were princes, leaders, men of renown. Rabbi Sachs continued, if Dweck is right, people laden with expectations tend to be risk averse. They do not want to be seen to fail. That may be why they came back and said, in effect, we cannot win against the Canaanites. Therefore, we should not even try. This is contrasted by Caleb and Joshua. Rabbi Sachs believed that because Caleb was from the tribe of Judah, that predisposed him to a growth mindset. His ancestor Judah was Joseph's brother, who suggested that he be sold into slavery. You remember Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. So his brothers sell him into slavery. Judah was the one who actually suggested that. But he matures along his life. There are another couple of stories here and there, but the evidence of his personal transformation is complete when later on he and his brothers stand before Joseph, who has now become the viceroy of Egypt. When Joseph says that his youngest brother Benjamin will be imprisoned, Judah offers himself as a slave instead. So he has completely transformed and is caring for this brother Benjamin. Rabbi Sachs proposes that as Judah's descendant, Caleb was brought up with a growth mindset, so he viewed obstacles as an opportunity for greater growth, and that is why Caleb was able to maintain his positive perspective. So what about Joshua? Well, according to Rabbi Sachs, Joshua demonstrates he is of a growth mindset in this episode when Moses decides to change Joshua's name. It had been Hoshea, but Moses added a yud to the name to make it Yehoshua. Yehoshua in English, Joshua. So whenever somebody's name is changed in the Torah, and maybe in life as well, it is an indication of internal growth and transformation. And Joshua then becomes the person who takes over Moses' leadership. He places his hands over him and he becomes the anointed one, literally with oil. And he becomes the leader over the Jewish people after Moses' death. And he merits to bring the Jewish people into the promised land because of this growth mindset. And those two are the only ones of their entire generation who are able to enter the promised land. To return to my story about visiting with the two congregants with their various maladies, it became obvious to me then that a change of perspective can influence a person's attitude toward adversity, and that this, in turn, can make huge ramifications for the healing process itself. We are holistic beings. We are not just bodies, we are not just minds or spirits. We are all of those intertwined. And so it is very difficult to heal physically when emotionally we're holding on to negativity. So I would like to conclude this discussion with this prayer. In the coming week ahead, may we all meet obstacles head on. May we bear our burdens with renewed strength and joyfully tackle any challenges that face us. And may our failures simply be stepping stones along our path to greater self-actualization. Shabbat Shalom. And now we're going to sing a Lechu Neranena.
As soon as you pick it up, it's a really easy tune. Just please sing along. Lechu Neranena, la 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 la, Adonai, ya la 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 la, Nariya, ya la 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 la, Tzur Yishelu, ya la 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 la. Let's sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechun eranena, yai lai 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 lai, l'Adonai, yai lai 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 lai, Naria, yai lai 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 lai, Letzor Yishenu, yai lai 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 lai.
I'm going to skip the next reading because I think we're a little bit over time. Do you all want to? Okay, we'll go on. Okay, so we're going to take it upon ourselves, litaken olam l'malchut Shaddai, to bring out to the world the repair of our world, that each of us can do our little part. If everybody did their little part, we could have tikkun olam, the repair of our world. So together, we rise, those who are able to do so, for the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekadula l'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu goye haratzot, shelo samanu k'mishpachot hadama, shelo sam kelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, ve'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Amen. You may be seated. We now honor and remember those who have recently passed with love: Arlene Barron, Marilyn Kress, Richard Sherwin, and Rabbi Barry Silver. We also remember with love those June yahrzeits in our community: Carl Bain, Abe Berenson, Robert Corman, Libby Fallick, Helen Folkman, Hyman Folkman, Leonard Gilmore, Benjamin Glick, Francis Goldman, Ray Herman, Edward Horowitz, Jack Kraft, Alan Kraus, Bonnie Larson, Robert Leaf, Stephen Leibovitz, Jerome Migdal, Stanley Millman, Leon Nachmias, Philip Paritsky, Molly Pasek, Estelle Rose, Alvin Marvin Salzer, Lawrence Salzer, Simon Salzer, Molly Schipper, Otto Siegel, Herman Shanoff, Jess Silver, Jack Sperber, Myron Mike Sussman, Lillian Taylor, Milton Werby, and Bessie Winston. If you have a name or names to add, please raise your hand so I can indicate to you to say the names aloud now. And those who are joining us via Zoom, please say the names of your loved ones aloud at this time. We rise together in solidarity with mourners everywhere as we recite Mourners Kaddish. Yid Gadal v'Yid Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Amen.
Be'alma divarach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon. uvachaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach le'olam ulol ne'amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemei de kudesha barichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'ama v'imru, Amen. Yehi shalom araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, Amen. Hamakom yirachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One of Blessing bless you with comfort as God comforts those who are in mourning for Zion and Jerusalem. May all of the memories of our loved ones be for a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Please take a seat as I invite Sharon for some brief announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I want to thank Rabbi Aviva. I want to thank Cantor Carol for a beautiful service, Ruth Nodov and Madison, and all of our helpers greeting and doing the oneg. I really appreciate it very much. L'Dor Va-Dor welcomes one and all through our doors, and we're so glad to have everyone here in person as well as virtually. Thank you for coming. Next week, July 5th, we will not have a service, and we also will not have a service on July 19th. We will have a service virtually on Zoom and Facebook and live stream on YouTube on July 12th at 7 p.m. So please tune in. And I'm going to, for the residents here, I'm going to provide that to the management so that you'll be able to watch from here or from home as well. On July 27th, Saturday, we'll be going to see Xanadu at the FAU Theater, and that's the downstairs, the Black Box Studio One Theater. Tonight is the last night I can accept money for that. It's $26 per ticket, and we're all going to go on Saturday, July 26th. We will have our Shabbat on July 26th back here in person. So we welcome you all back here in 4 weeks. Cantor Carol and I are both taking a long-needed vacation, so I hope you understand. Look for us on social media, on our website, ledorvador.org, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and YouTube. Stay for our Oneg Shabbat, and please greet both the Rabbi Aviva and Cantor Carol, and schmooze a little bit and get to know everybody once. And we thank you again and wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Sharon. So now we're going to have a priestly benediction. This was actually from the Torah in actually 2 weeks ago, the Torah portion, Naso, and it's right there in the Torah how we are meant to bless one another from generation to generation, and it has these words, the Yivarechecha. And in days of yore, it was the Kohanim, and actually in Orthodox synagogues they still do this, that the Kohanim face the congregation, and they do this. This is where Leonard Nimoy got the Live Long and Prosper from, because he was a Kohen. So I invite you, if you wish to do so, to do this with one another, because we're going to bless one another as we sing this Yivarechecha, the priestly benediction.
And online, if you want to bless.
Online as well, please.
Okay. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yahir Adonai panav elecha v'kuneka.
May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yahir Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
V'yasem lecha shalom.
may God grant you and all of us peace now and evermore. And let us say,
Amen.
And now this is a tefillat haderech, a blessing for us as we go forth to our various communities. But I hope that some of you will stay for a little bit beforehand. We'll have a little nosh in the back and a little chat before you go off. But this is a blessing, tefillat haderech. If you know it, please sing with us.
May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. May we be sheltered by the wings of peace. May we be held in safety and love. May grace and compassion find a way to every soul. And may this be our blessing. Amen. Everyone. Amen. Amen. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen.
And now let's say the motzi together, please. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon, please enjoy our oneg.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat.